This episode of the Good Living Now podcast is sponsored by our friends at Kuvings. Now, I've had almost every brand of juicer on the market since I started my healing journey in 2015. But the Kuvings Auto 10 has been a complete game changer. It's easy to use and easy to clean. Plus, I'm able to make smoothies as well as sorbets and plant-based milk. So use my code JUICEGUY and save 10%. All right, you know what to do. Get your juice on. All right, coming back to the stage is the Boldness Coach herself, Miss Vaneese Johnson. Give it up for Vaneese Johnson, y'all. She about to flip the script. She getting ready to ask me some questions.
Yeah, is this mic on? Can y'all in the back hear me? Is this mic on? Because we are about to have really go a little bit deeper in conversation. But before we do this, can y'all just give it up for Harold and the guests that have gone before me? Because see, what Harold hasn't told y'all yet is that how this came about. You know, how did the juicing tour come about? But before you answer that question, because I think that sometimes when people see folks like you know, online and you have a huge following, they think it's like some magical elves and stuff in the back room doing things. when you the only elf that's in the back room, front room, and the side room. So we're going to get into that. But I want you all to have the opportunity to really kind of peer into Harold and our world. Mm-hmm. Harold and I have been friends since like 2000, maybe 1999.
Right.
There was a time when it was the 1900s.
Right.
Before
internet and social media. We didn't have social media.
Yeah, before social media.
Right.
AOL was the thing.
Right.
And sending attachments, you needed to go to school for that.
Yeah.
So we've been friends for a very, very long time, and we've actually been on this journey together for a very long time, since 1999. So when Harold invited me to come and have this conversation with him and basically interview him, we're treating this like a conversation that he and I would have that y'all don't get a chance to listen to. So I want you to just really, you know, pay attention to.
She know all my secrets.
I'm telling you, I know where they're buried. I know where they're buried. He don't make a move unless I make a move, and vice versa. But we wanted to do this because to bring a level of transparency to really what it's like to grow. I think it's one thing to come to an event and to see all the work and to have the DJs and have guests, but we don't really get a chance to hear like what happens behind the scenes when we're stuck on growth. How did we get to where we are? Mm-hmm. You know, what type of challenges that we experienced, right, to get to this point of where we are. Some of y'all just found him and showed up. You're like, oh my God, look at all these numbers, all of his videos on YouTube. Oh, I'm going to follow him. Mm-hmm. But what y'all don't know is when he was at zero. And just like you said, I'm in my, who wants to listen to a 50-year-old man talk about juice?
Right.
Like,
I don't think nobody.
Nobody, right? So that's where we're going to peer into, and we're going to just kind of go on a journey a little bit. So is that all right with you?
That's all right.
Is that all right with y'all? Yeah. Let's get all up in his business. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is this book. Have many of you seen this book before? How many? We know the families of the aunties. Y'all are pretty on it. Y'all don't count.
They all up in that book.
They all up in this book. So, Harold, this is your very first book, Brother CEO. Now, he has a number of books, but this is the one that kicked it off. So, I just want to read something to you as we talk about how you kind of got started on your journey of where you are. And I want to start from this excerpt in the book, everybody. Hold on 1 second. If you could pray for only one thing, let it be an idea. Mm-hmm. This is from Percy Sutton, President and CEO of Inner City Broadcasting. And he says, and Harold says this in his book, it's called The Dream. One of the most powerful tools we have is our ability to dream. Most people think that dreams are wasteful, childlike activity. But it is our dreams that's where the genius is often born. Our dreams allow us to see those things that are not as if they were. They give us a glimpse of the unlimited possibilities and opportunities that exist. So tell us, Harold, what were you dreaming of that led you to this book?
Wow. So when I think about dreams, as a kid, I was always a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, we didn't have very much, every apartment, every place we lived, I would always make my closet into like an office.
Wow.
And I would see myself as a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And I um, always believed that dreams could come true, even though everything around me didn't support that.
Yeah.
I just had that in my heart and my mind that, dreams were possible. Like that's what they were there for. And it's so funny, the book Brother CO it really came out of when my first business, LaFall Employment Agency, when
Mm-hmm.
it kind of blew up.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Black Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize at the time that they got Black Enterprise in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting letters from all over the country with numbers on the envelopes. And it was guys who had seen my article in Black Enterprise asking me, how did you do that? How did you start your own multi-million-dollar business? You lived in the hood. Your dad was a pharmaceutical salesperson,
Drug dealer.
not the legal kind. And they wanted to know the the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wrote that book
Mm-hmm.
for the brothers in prison because I couldn't answer all of their questions because I know how important it is for us to see examples, to see real life examples and to hear real stories because people saw the book and saw me in the magazines and they just thought, it just happened. They didn't know all of the stuff I lost along the way,
Mm-hmm.
but yet all of that I gained
Mm-hmm.
during that process. And I really learned the power of having a dream and seeing it happen because nobody really believed it was when I first got the inclination to start the business.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be careful who I told
Yeah. Yes.
because that's your dream. That's not their dream. And so when you have a dream, people can't get excited because it ain't theirs.
Yeah.
And too often we share our dreams prematurely with people because we get excited.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, I got this vision of what I'm gonna do. And you run and tell people, and they start telling you all the reasons why it can't happen.
Yeah.
And the challenge for many of us is that we start believing them rather than believing in our dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really great because what I heard you say from this is that, the dream that you have inside of you is really important. It wasn't something that was just like this crazy thought. It
Yeah.
was something, and then you manifested that at the form and the level of where you were in your life at that time.
Right.
So the
right.
form and the level of where you were was, I'm gonna make me a desk, a makeshift desk.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope this is a message that no matter where you are in your life right now, that dream that you have, you can manifest it.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not necessarily be the longer vision at that point because you don't know what it is.
Right.
But it's something that you can make a reality in the moment.
Right.
Now, you wrote this, this book, but you also had an employment agency. How did you start your first business? Like, does anybody remember other than the family people? Did anybody ever work for a LaFall agency or remember a LaFall agency off of Hagenberger? Look at that in the back, the first guest. We got two people here, right? Three. We got three folks in there, right? So LaFall Employment Agency, that was your first official business. So tell people, how did you come to starting a staffing agency from just part of the experience that you didn't have a role model. You had a dream of being a CEO, but there were no tangible, get up and talk to people, right? You had gone to college, gotten a degree, and you had the message, like a lot of us do: go to school, get your education, get you a good job. And y'all know the subline: get you one of them good government jobs. And you get you a house, a car, family retired, and then that's it.
Right.
Life is over.
Right.
So how did it come about that you stepped into the reality of your dream with starting your first business?
Well, I had a big why.
Mm.
My mom was my why.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that a job would not afford me the ability to take care of my mom the way I wanted to. And I'm just not built to work for nobody. I don't like nobody telling me what to do. I think because I was the only child for about 12 years, I just don't like people telling me what to do. So having a job it just it didn't feel, it didn't feel good to me. And so I remember I had this job that I did not like. I worked for the Oakland Housing Authority. And my mother was so proud of me. She used to carry my business cards in her purse and show people my business card, you know. And she was so proud of me, and she felt like I had made it. But I didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
You know. And one of the things I remember is hearing conversations with people who worked at the housing authority talking about, well, one day I'm gonna retire. One day I'm gonna retire. And I'm like, I don't want to spend 30 years just looking forward to retirement, being in a job that I don't, yeah. And then what happened for me, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. I got a supervisor, new supervisor. Her name was Sharon Harrison Brown. And you know Sharon, you must know Sharon, because somebody said,
I know somebody said, all the way in the back with the black hat.
Sharon.
Tell Sharon we said, hey girl, hey.
Right. So Sharon couldn't stand Harold. Everything I did was wrong. She just didn't like me, and she made my life miserable to the point where I knew something was going to happen to Sharon. And you see, I have some cousins. Juju's one of my cousins. I'm like, look, I got cousins like that could make some things happen. And so, lady, you messing with the wrong one. And I said, rather than do something crazy, I said, let me leave this job.
Yeah.
And she was the push that I needed. And sometimes life is trying to push us, you know, and sometimes we just get comfortable because fear. Like we get comfortable with fear because it's known. So we can be comfortable in painful situations rather than stepping out and venturing to something that can be incredible because of fear. And so I had enough courage because of my why and my mom that I decided, you know, I got this dream and vision about this business. Didn't know how I was going to do it, didn't know anybody. And God gave me a vision to start this staffing agency. And I had a house that I had bought in Stockton. I took out a second mortgage on it. Somehow they gave me the money. I don't know how, because my credit was, my credit was messed up. I don't know what kind of drugs they were on when they were reviewing my file. But they approved it and gave me $25,000. And I opened up an office over there on Edgewater in Oakland. Didn't know what I was doing. I went and got me some business cards, got the office, and I thought my business was just gonna blow up.
Yeah.
Well, it blew up all right. I used to have a red Mercedes. I had a red Mercedes, yeah. I went outside one day and I was looking for my Mercedes and it was gone. And the people who owned that car got their car back because I had not paid my payments. And then my house went into foreclosure, and I was wondering, I'm like, okay, God, you gave me a vision, and I didn't see this part of it.
Right.
And what I've learned is that God will give you the vision, but He won't show you all the things that you have to go through in order to handle the blessing and the vision. So we sometimes have to go through a pruning process.
Yeah.
On our way to the vision that oftentimes doesn't feel good. Yeah. And oftentimes it's really, I was embarrassed. I went from driving a Mercedes to driving a Chevy Monza with primer on the side because the person I bought it from didn't get it painted. I couldn't afford to get it painted. But I kept going.
And I think what we can take from that, Harold, is that you actually had been purposeful all along. I think your dad perhaps represented that to you auditorily, like verbally, like you could hear that in the flesh saying that. But you were purposeful because you were in a job that you weren't happy. And all of y'all can identify that on some level, that we've been in jobs where we were not happy for a number of reasons, but still sharing, hey girl, hey. But but you knew there was something greater, a greater calling on your life, and it was time for you to go. And so you disrupted your own life comfortableness. You leaned into the fear of the unfamiliar, but you didn't know how it was going to work out. You trusted and believed. And what you did have was a good work ethic. So you knew, I got to get up and go to work,
Right.
and figure this out along the way, right? And so your dad saw that. Your dad saw you, living and breathing and thriving in your effort. So you weren't this flashy person, flashing money around and doing all these things just because.
Right.
You went, you hustled, you went to work, you had your head down, you dressed the part, you talked to the right people, you showed up. So of course your dad saw that, and it also was probably a reflection of who he was as a younger man, because his purpose may have been differently at the time, at that age where you were. So he could see himself and be okay with that. And I want to close that part as we move on with that, is that there are people in your lives, they see you, but the question is, do you see yourself? Are you seeing yourself and the purpose, or are you just overlooking it? Or have you settled into your own place of comfortableness, aka fear, that you are not stepping outside of that? I see y'all up there looking at each other like, and I love it when sisters be looking at you, don't even say no words, just do that look like. And then next to auntie said, So now, as we move forward on this journey, so Harold and I both met. We owned temporary staffing agencies. He owned LaFall Agency in Oakland, and I owned On the Move Staffing in San Francisco. And somebody said the two of us should meet, and then Harold came up to me and we met. And what was so funny is that we was just dumb as dumber. We ain't know nothing.
Didn't know what
We
we
ain't
were
know
doing.
what we was doing, and we literally were married. On a corporate level for probably 20 something, years. He closed his agency before I did mine. But literally we talked every day, you guys. When I say every day, we talked every day, sometimes 2 and 3 times without in the work day. I would come in from a meeting and they would be like, I said, get my message. They'd be like, Harold, your husband called. And I said, oh, I'll call him back. Let me see how much time I got.
Because I'll be like, Vaneese, oh my God, 10 people didn't show up to work. What are these jokers doing? And I'm like, just because you understood, what I was going through, because you were going through it as well. And, and that was so important, just to have someone on the journey who understands.
It was a God ordained connection.
Yeah.
Because I would call you and say, I gotta meet payroll, and these companies ain't paid their bills, and how do we do this? And every time you learn something new, you share with me. Every time I learned something new, I shared it with you. And so what I'm saying with that is, there are people that are around you in your corner already who also are growing, but because they haven't heard you own that you're growing, and because you haven't received them owning that they're growing, then that bond and that next level can't go. So give people grace, give yourself grace. And it's okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing right now, and I'm figuring this out as I go along.
Right.
And somebody gonna be like, I got you, I'm with you, because I don't know either, so we going together. So that's how that kind of unfolded. Now, as time progressed, you mentioned and shared with us that your mom transitioned, and she was an amazing person. I never got a chance to meet her, but I always felt close to her because it was always through you and I, right? And I remember when you became a father, and how all of that evolved you. So as you move through time, Harold, you started writing books. You wrote this book, but then the next book you wrote was
Living from Within.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell everyone what was going on in your life that you penned that book, and what was it really about?
Yeah. Growing up in the hood, we always think that if we get the nice house, we get the nice car, it's going to make us feel some kind of way. Well, I got those things and I still felt this void. I was like, wait a minute, I thought I was supposed to feel something. I went to college for that reason. I thought if I got a degree, I would feel something. But I still felt that void, that emptiness. And living from within was just really my awareness and awakening that true fulfillment
Mm. Mm.
True fulfillment is really within. It ain't about your car, your house, your relationship. It's about it comes from within. And it took me getting the things and then losing the things
Mm-hmm.
to realize that.
Yeah.
Because after I lost everything,
Mm-hmm.
I was still all right, and I was still Harold the Fall. It didn't change anything, but that was the journey that I was on. And it's so funny that I write books. You know, my latest book's my fifth book because even in college, I don't know nothing about commas. I don't know where they should go. I really don't. I got a bachelor's and master's. I mean, my son has to edit my books. I'm like, where comma? I know if a sentence is too long, a comma should go somewhere. Help him. So, I wrote the book um, really to myself, and then I wanted to share with other folks because what I realize is that the stuff we go through isn't just for us.
Right. Right.
It's for us to be a light to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I wrote the book not knowing where to put commas in. So, you know, don't be using no excuses. If you don't know what commas, go get you a good editor to edit your book. Go ahead and write your book. You know?
That was really poignant that you shared about that, it wasn't for you, it's for other people. But I think by that time point on the journey, you had lost the house before, you had lost a car before, there was loss with your mom, there was loss of your business, how the business just kind of folded. And then you were just in this space for a moment where you really did have to come full circle to who you are and what your truth is for you in that moment of where you are. So I think that's really big because what sometimes people see on the outside, whether it's an Oprah, Tabitha Brown, or even if it's Harold the Fall, we see just the glimpses of what looks like the good life that people are living, and we don't realize that without, you cannot have achievement without having adversity.
Yeah.
And the way that you respond to adversity can really set you up for the level of achievement that comes thereafter. Mm-hmm. Hence why people win the lotto and lose all their money.
Right.
If they've never had to really focus on how to save and manage what they currently have and give grace over that and give gratitude over that, then when they get a huge windfall of a blessing, they cannot manage that. Mm-hmm. So if as we look backwards and moving forward, really where you are in this moment, had you arrived here before you had those adversities, we really wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there was so much in between time of learning. So now let's move on. You moved to Vegas, mm-hmm. and you were in Vegas, and then you and I lost touch for a while in Vegas. Mm-hmm. I'm telling y'all, I was like, where is Harold?
I was mad at everybody. I was mad at the world because my mama died. I really realized that I didn't want to talk to anyone mm-hmm. because I was in such grief and pain, and nothing could feel that. I used to just cringe when Mother's Day came about. I used to get envious when I would see people with their mothers being able to talk to their mothers. And I isolated myself from everybody. And it was a tough journey. And the only thing that really kept me going was my son, because I had to get up and take him to school. So you had to, and I had to show up for him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't showing up for myself.
Yeah. And I remember that. I remember a conversation we had when I finally was able to find where he was, right? And I remember us talking and I was crying because I was like, oh my God, did I say something? Did I do something? Like, what is going on with you? This is not like you. What is going? He was like, I'm all right. I'm like, that is such bullshit.
Right.
Like, all right, you all right.
That's why they call her the Boldness Coach. She just be saying it.
Be saying stuff. But at this point I was like, what's your address in Vegas? Like, let me get a plane. Send me a picture where y'all living. Like, because I was just like, I don't understand this.
Right.
Because of just the growth part of where you are. So here's what I want to say with that as we continue to move on is that sometimes the people in our lives, they have to have their journey. They have to be in the desert for their 40 years.
Right.
The 40 years could be 4 years, could be 4 months, could be 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that we can do outside of that but stand out and let them know, I'm here for you whenever you get ready to come out of that, mm-hmm. that I am here for you. And then I remember when you moved to Atlanta and you called me and you was like, this is where I am. I said, hallelujah, Jesus. He done came out the desert. We done turned the corner.
He's back.
He's back. He's back. And so, and in that moment, I just remember you rebuilding. So share with us, like, what were you going through? What got you out of that, out the wilderness? What was that turning point out the wilderness? And then what propelled you to say, okay, I'm gonna try some new things. I'm gonna try acting and have y'all seen Harold in a police uniform? I forgot he was my friend. I was like, baby. So, but tell us, like, what got you out of that out of that corner where you came out of the wilderness, and then what inspired you, or what happened that you said, I'm going to try some new things and see where this goes.
You know, so when I lived in Atlanta for about 11 years, I was still in a dark place, just trying to, I was just kind of on autopilot.
Yeah.
You know, just going through the motions of life, just getting up, taking my son to school, getting these little acting gigs, but just kind of going through the motion. And I ended up in 2016 moving back to California. I moved back to California to become the executive director of a nonprofit. I ended up quitting that job after 6 months because they made me mad. They reminded me why I don't work for people. And I moved back. But for me, when I came back to the Bay Area, it was like a healing place for me. I was, before I didn't want to come back to the Bay Area because everything reminded me of my mom, you know, everything. But it really was my healing place. Just coming back, you know, my dad was still living, you know, all my family was here. I would get a chance to see them every night. And so coming back home to where it all started really helped for me to start dreaming again. I remember I used to go to the Starbucks over in Benicia, and I just started writing things that I wanted to accomplish, just things and I started dreaming again. I hadn't dreamt in over a decade. And I started writing my dreams down, and I don't know if I really believed, you know, that it was possible, but I wrote it down, and I would write them the same thing every day, the same thing, and you know, and I would go to Starbucks, and that would be like my little thing, and I was, you know, reading inspirational stuff, and I just started refueling my mind again with possibility, and yeah, it was coming back to the Bay Area in 2016 that I started dreaming again.
So what I hear you saying, it's coming back home to yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that we all get to do that, is to come back home to who we are and where we started from. It's kind of like going back to the soil that grew us, right? Even though that soil is dirty, it's gritty, it's gone through a transition, life has happened all around that soil, but there's still the essence of who we are and what raised us up out of that.
Right.
So don't forget where you come from. Even though that adversity, you may have felt like this was really hard and challenging for me, but there was something out of that adversity that rooted in you that helped you to then be able to come up, you know, to that level, to come back to those familiar places and those relationships. Now, there are people that you just can't come back to because they just still, you know, Pookie them still out there doing their thing.
Right.
You know, on the corner, you know, and you done elevated and seen a little things. You can't come back to that. However, but you still are able to see people where they are and really have a different level of compassion.
Yeah.
You know, and you were able to give compassion to yourself. So now you move forward. Harold reached out and called me, and they were doing a retreat at this other organization that he was working at. And so you called me, and I came out and did a retreat. And at that moment, you had been through all of these adversities. I don't think your diet had changed a lot. There was some little things that you were changing along the way. And then one day he emailed me, called me, and you was like, I quit my job. And I'd be like, where you going? And he was like, I don't know. But I'm done.
I'll quit a job in a minute.
Yeah, you could.
Look, my bank account may not support me quitting that job,
Yeah.
but I will quit a job in a minute because my mental well-being is more important than a paycheck.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, if you're mentally okay, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
But if you're not mentally okay, you can't figure out which way is how to get out of the door.
And the door is right there.
The door is right
there. You can't figure that out.
Yeah.
So now you were speaking. You had gotten some partnerships. The inspiration had come back, and then the next book came out. What was the next book that came up?
I Am Enough.
So let's talk about how that unfolded. Been through adversity, had some achievements, come back home, get grounded, get reconnected to family, to environment, start to dream again, start to really feed your soul.
Yeah.
You started to feed your own soul.
Yeah.
And connect with God-centered people again. And then I'm Enough happened.
Yeah. You know what I've learned through I Am Enough is that we teach what we need to learn. We teach what we need to learn. So I wrote that book not thinking, I'm enough, I can do this, blah, 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 blah. I was reprogramming my mind, reminding myself of that truth, because for most of my life, I didn't think that I was enough. I didn't think that I was enough. And even when I had success earlier on, I at times didn't think I was worthy of it. I thought it was a fluke how it happened. I didn't think that, I always kept expecting for it to go away. And it did go away because I didn't feel worthy of it. See, you can hustle your way to a certain position.
Yes.
But hustle will only take you so far. If you don't realize your worth, your value, then you can't sustain it. And so I Am Enough was really about me coming to the truth that, flawed and all the mistakes that I've made, all of the mishaps that I've had, just as I am, I'm enough.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to prove, to defend, or protect. Just as I am, I am enough. And I wrote it because I wanted other people to know that about themselves. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to protect anything. You don't have to hide nothing. Just as you are enough. Too often we're thinking, oh, if I get this job, when I get this amount of money, I'm going to feel like I am enough. No. Right now, just right where you sit, you are enough and you are worthy. You're worthy of your dreams. You're worthy to be loved in a way that is healthy. You're worthy to pursue your dreams and your visions. You ain't no different than anybody else that is living their dreams. You're worthy just as you are. And that is such an important reminder. And I hope y'all all got y'all I Am Enough wristbands, because sometimes we just need to be reminded of that. Because sometimes life be hitting us and we be like, oh, wait a minute, this is a little bit too big. I don't know if I can handle this. But you can handle that.
Yeah.
Because what I know about you, that I know about myself, is that you've never not made it. You've never not made it. You've been through some difficult times. People have left you. People have betrayed you. You've lost some things. But you're still here. You've never not made it. So just as you are enough.
How many of y'all felt that? Go ahead and clap. Y'all can clap on that. Clap on that. And I hear you, and I hope that you all just kind of can follow the journey along, that you really had to grow. We really have to grow in order to get to the next level of whatever that thing is. The difference is bringing the intentionality to the growth. You were intentionally present in your growth. You were a full participant in your growth. You didn't wait for the outside to say this is what you ought to do. And I'm sure that there were people talking on the outside, right? But you intentionally chose to position yourself and feed your soul, feed your mind, feed your heart, feed your spirit, that level of diet, which brings us to where you are now. So you've been through all these adversities and you have accomplishments and achievements, and then cancer passes you by, but you're not done yet. So then you call me and you tell me I'm in North Carolina. And I said, what you doing there? And you was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because the last time I had seen you before North Carolina, we were in Detroit. I was going to Detroit to visit my father, and then Harold said, this is the correct way to say my name.
Vaneese.
So Harold's the only person that said, don't y'all be trying to pick up the right name. So Harold's the only person that says my name the correct way. And so he called me, he's like, Vaneese, I see you coming to Detroit. You know, a brother up here in Detroit. Boy, what is you doing in Detroit? You know, he was handling some business, but he was just kind of going. He said, I don't know. And then when he moved to North Carolina, he said, you know, I relocated and this is where I am. What you doing in North Carolina? I don't know. I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know. And then you told me a dream of yours. I don't know if you remember this. You were living around the corner from a dealership. And it was a dream of yours to have that kind of car. But in the street name, I think the street name was
Carnegie Boulevard.
Yes, at Carnegie Boulevard. So y'all know the Carnegie's got some money, right? And so, but what dealership were you
It was
around?
the Bentley dealership. I lived around the corner from the Bentley dealership.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, Bentley, okay, Carnegie, okay, God. Now, mind you, I ain't got no Bentley money. I don't have any Bentley money. But I'm like, okay, God, you are setting something up.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why I was there. And it's so funny that I moved to Charlotte because my mother's name is Charlotte. So I get to say my mother's name all the time. And I just felt like going there just really, it meant something more than just the new location. I was in Charlotte.
Yeah.
My mama's name is Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I remember just asking God, I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? It's not really clear about, what am I supposed to be doing? Now I need to do something because I do need some money. I need to do something because I need some money. And then I remember getting a vision to start a supplement company. And I'm like, okay, how you do that? Because when I started my business, we didn't have the internet, and it was a staffing agency. We provided a service. I don't know how to provide a product.
Yeah.
So I just started doing research. Just started researching stuff, and I'm like, okay, I want to share with folks the supplements and the stuff I used on my healing journey. So the first thing I started with was black seed oil because the week I got diagnosed with cancer, I met an herbalist who said that black seed oil was something she recommended to her clients who had cancer. And she told me, you need to take this 3 times a day. And so it was one of the things that was a part of my healing journey that I had never heard of before. And I realized that a lot of people hadn't heard of that when I was starting my business. So I just started, I found a company to create my formula, got me some labels, again, not knowing what I was doing, had the black seed oil delivered to my little apartment. So I had a little apartment in North Carolina that me and my grown son was living in. It wasn't even a full 1-bedroom, y'all. It was like, how you have it was supposed to, I found the apartment online. And you know how you have those apartments that don't have a full wall, so it's open. So my son on the other side, I'm like, we ain't got no privacy, And so I remember when they delivered the first batch of black seed oil to my house, I was so excited, but so scared because that was an investment.
Yep.
And I didn't know how this was going to turn out. I'm like, this could turn out really, really bad. It could turn out really, really bad. And I remember the first day I posted on social media, one person bought my black seed oil. And I thought, well, if one person buy it, maybe 2. And 2 could be 3. And that's where it all started.
Was that. And I want to preface that by saying that you were on to the next level of your healing. So emotionally there was help, there was healing. Spiritually that was the healing, but it was in process, on that. And one of the things, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'm just going to pull this one out. One of the things I noticed too is that Harold was being obedient to the calling on his life, meaning obedient with letting things go, obedient with showing up. And had somebody probably phrased it to you that way, you probably would have been like, I ain't trying to be obedient. I don't know.
Right.
But in that obedience was your surrender. The surrender was, I don't know. The surrender is, I'm enough.
Right.
I'm okay as I am right where I am. The surrender is that I have made it through.
Right.
There was so much that you had already made it through, so much that you had surrendered to, which allowed you to be obedient. So here's the question I want you all to think about. What is it that you fighting? What you fighting? A lot of us are still in a fight. And some of us are so used to fighting, we don't even know we're in a fight, and we don't know what to do if we give up a fight. But now we've seen you give up the fight and surrender and be okay with I don't know. We've also learned from you about not being attached.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge thing, to leave your comfort environment of comfort, your home, what's familiar to you. But we also see that when you let go of being attached, you can come full circle. And you have a different appreciation and gratitude for that. So now we've done the supplements, and when he called me and said he was doing supplements, I said, Lord Jesus, let's pray. let's pray. He said, Vaneese, you need to get on this. I said, that's you and Jesus. I'm gonna go ahead and cook me something to eat. That's you and Jesus over there, And so as you went through that and you grew through that and you still were doing I am enough on that, then tell us, how did juicing come up? How did, and you're still doing your supplements. So if you guys haven't gotten your supplements and you should get them. They're really great. And so, but how did juicing come out of that, the next level, how did juicing happen?
Well, I was talking to this lady that does marketing, and she was telling me, because I didn't know how to navigate a business where I'm providing a product with this whole social media stuff. I just didn't know how to do it. And so she was telling me, she said, you need to be visible on social media. And that's when I said, I'm over 50, ain't nobody trying to see me, do nothing. And she said, no, people, they need to get to know you, because just posting these products is not enough. And she said, well, what is it that you like to do? And I was like, well, I juice it every day. She said, well, do a video on that. And so I started turning on my camera, and started juicing, and like I said, nobody was watching my videos, but and for me, it was important to do not just for my business, but I was really trying to educate people on the importance of nutrition. That really was my goal, because I don't think we think enough about what we put in our bodies and about how important nutrition is. And so I just wanted to, use that platform just to share, kind of, what I was doing, not only for my healing, but to stay healed,
So it sounds like the pure of heart. The pure of heart was like, this is how I take care of myself.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just, tell people how a black man over 50 takes care of himself.
Right.
And I like the fact that it wasn't necessarily about you, but you were educating and sharing with people with no attachment of what this could turn into and what it could
Right.
be. It's like, I genuinely want to share.
Right.
So you're doing that and you're moving through this and you're juicing and people are following you, right? And then, and I know y'all want to know this, so I'm going to ask it anyway because I can hear y'all in my head. It's like, how did you move from doing the juicing videos to becoming an influencer? How did that happen?
Well, I didn't even know what an influencer was. I was like, so I just kept doing my videos, and I kept learning new information, and I just kept wanting to share that information. And I was doing these videos that, I was kind of nervous about doing some of them, about, stuff to stop feeding our kids videos, and I just started, doing those videos that made me scared,
Yeah. Ooh.
And I think a lot of times we stop ourselves from progress because we're not willing to do things that make us scared. And it's in those fearful places where blessings are, you know. Because if you feel confident all the time, like you got this and that you don't need,
You're never gonna grow.
you're never going to grow. And so, yeah, so I just kept doing the videos, and then my money got better, so I got a better place, and the kitchen was brighter. And so when I moved to this brighter kitchen, you know, I was more motivated to do these videos, and I was doing them all the time. I was in that kitchen. I'm like, oh, this is a nice kitchen. Okay, well, you know, and then that's when things really took off, and it took off so quickly that I didn't really see it coming. The first video that I had that did over 1 million views was a video that one day I just woke up. I said, okay, I'm gonna do a video about how the United States has the highest rate of cancer among, you know, all of the other countries. I think it's number 3 or 4 now. And and I got this idea to go get a globe. I said, okay, I'm gonna get a globe and I'm gonna spin the globe, and just, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, this might be kind of corny. And so and I just put that video out, and that video ended up going viral. And that's the video that Kourtney Kardashian saw and shared. And and yeah, and it's just, I am amazed at what God has done and is doing. But I think it comes from listening to that still small voice that's always kind of nudging us and telling us, you know, um, what to do. And sometimes that voice scares us, but that's the voice we need to be listening to. And so, yeah, so that's how, you know, and it's so funny because, you know, my son, he's like, okay, Pops, you need to sit down with all these videos. You know,
How old
what
is Zaire now?
Zaire is 26. He's a grown man, but he's like, okay, you need to sit down. And then before, so when I first started doing these videos, because I'm old, I was trying to disrupt the internet, so I was taking off my shirt, and my son was like, you need to put your shirt back on, sir. And 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 the only time my son has been impressed with me being on social media is Kelly Rowland liked one of my videos, and he likes Kelly Rowland, and so I was cool for one day because Kelly Rowland liked my video. But yeah, so this journey has been, it's been incredible to see how God moves even in your later days,
Yes. Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to encourage anybody who's in their later days like I am to keep on keeping on. That's what my grandmother used to say.
Keep on keeping on.
Keeping on.
So, Harold, as we wind this up, we're going to do the raffle, take a couple questions.
Okay.
Thank you guys for your patience and your time, and I hope that you found the behind the curtain part, you know, of Harold's story. So, Harold, what's next for you, and what can people expect next? You know, from this brand, you did this tour. This was out of the unexpected, but y'all want more. Yes. So what's next that, you know, for you, what's next that how are you going to help people to the next level?
You know, I want to create a legacy that outlives me, so that when I'm gone, you know how they have Johnson and Johnson and all these. So I want my company to be a company that outlives me, that is able to be um, a blessing to my family and those who I love. And, you know, y'all ain't one that want to work. Y'all can come work for your brother's company. Y'all can come on, and I want to do that. And so I want to build a brand, because when I had my first business, I didn't know how to scale and build for legacy. That's what I want to do. I want to scale and build, because it's about leaving something tangible, you know. And so what that looks like, we all gonna learn together. We all gonna learn together. Um, Before we close and we do our giveaway, I just want to acknowledge someone who
It's all right.
who
Yes, yes, yes. Amen.
who believed in me when no one else did, who always has encouraged me. I remember I was in a play in the Wiz. My godmother was there. And I had a small role in that play. I was a scarecrow. My godmother was in the audience. And all you could hear when it was my turn, my godmother said, "Go on, champ. Go on, champ." And my godmother is here today. And I just want to give her these flowers
Come on
for
out, Godmama.
always loving me and encouraging me, always believing me, even when I didn't believe in myself,
Amen. Hey,
always loving on me. And I just love her so much.
you?
I just love her so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anytime I'm going through rough times in my life, I can always hear my godmother say, "Go on, champ. Go on, champ. You can do it." And I just pray that all of us have just one person in our life that would say, "Go on, whatever your name is, go on." And if you don't have that one person, let that one person be you.
Yes.
So you say it to yourself. If you don't have that person, you say it to yourself. So whatever your name is, you say, "Go on, what's your name? Go on, what's your name?"
Yes.
Go, say it to yourself. So I just wanted to acknowledge my godmother because she has always just been always rooting for me. Always rooting for me.
Yeah.
So I love you so much.
I love you too. Gone, champ. And oh, I love him so much. And I just want to say, when he was coming up in Charlotte, and he used to have a cash register, would play money while other kids shoot marbles and fight. And I told Champ, "You gonna be rich one of these days."
Come on now.
Look at him.
Come on now. I love
I
you.
love you too.
To do the
Okay.
That's so wonderful. So
All
let's do the raffle, Harold, and close
Okay.
this out for people.
Okay.
So what are we raffling off? I don't know what you're raffling.
Oh, with the raffle. Oh, okay. So the first thing we're raffling off is the wellness bundle. Paula, you gonna bring so the wellness bundle. Okay, Paula has it back to you. Like, okay, Vanna White, come on, Vanna White. So the wellness bundle. So that's the ashwagandha, black seed oil, and the sea moss. So the winner of that is Gail Price. Gail Price.
Look at that. Go ahead, Gail. We're gonna take another one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and the next thing we're raffling off, now everybody's getting the eBook version of Juicing for Health, but this is the hard book version. So this is going to Teresa Blanken. Teresa, hey Teresa, come on Teresa.
Teresa put her hand up like there is no other Teresa in the world.
Blanca, yes, Teresa, nice to meet you. And we got a Get Your Juice On t-shirt. That's going to Stan Blank. I think that's the husband. That's the husband.
Teresa said now she's gonna take her husband with her more often, or he gonna want to go now.
Oh, congratulations. There, she has it right in the back for you. And the juicer is going, oh, wait a minute. I know him. Uh-oh. Is this Curtis Lee? Curtis Lee? So Curtis Lee, look, we go way back from elementary school, second grade. So Curtis Lee is the winner of the Cubings Auto 10. You'll get that next week, Curtis Lee. And we're going to do the meet and greet and sign the books for the VIPs. And I just want to thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of your time on today with me. I hope in some way that you were encouraged and inspired to really know that change is possible and that healing is possible. And so, as my grandmother used to say, y'all just keep on keeping on. We're going to get there. All right. Thank y'all so much.
We're done, brother. We're done. Okay, get my hat. My hat falls off my head.
Okay.
Sister be messing up. Good job. Good job. Oh,
Let me go. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to get your juice on.
Have some juice. Oh, wait,
Okay.
Harold.
Okay.
Come back. Hold on, DJ. Hold on. And we got one more thing we want to do for Harold, everybody.
Sorry.
Harold, come back on up.
Okay.
DJ, we got a special request that I put in for you before.
Oh.
So before you go, so we got a couple questions. Curtis got a question.
Curtis got a
So my question is, always known you as being an introvert. When did you become an extrovert?
I'm an introvert pretending like I'm an extrovert. You know, look.
He really is.
Look,
He really is.
Look,
He really is.
I'm a total introvert. After all this, I'm going to go home and hibernate for a period of time.
But we want to also be the first ones to wish Harold a very happy birthday. So DJ, give it to us, DJ. We're gonna get our birthday song. We want to be the first ones to wish you happy birthday, and we pray that your days ahead be greater than the ones from the past.
Oh,
yes, we love you. We love you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.